Today, I want to talk about the most overhated anime I have ever seen. I got a cheat skill in another world and became unrivaled in the real world, 2. Yes, that is the actual title of this show. So the anime starts off with a classic scene. There is a woman being harassed by multiple men and the protagonist comes in to save her. Except this is the protagonist. I found this interesting because I cannot remember the last time I saw a fat protagonist. I think that it was A Cell's World in 2013. This guy is obviously not your typical overpowered protagonist. Instead, he's just an unathletic guy who gets bullied. So he gets beat up to save the girl and says that it's not a big deal because he gets beat up all the time. Protagonist Yuya then goes home and we see him reminiscing about his past. His entire upbringing consisted of him getting bullied by everyone around him because he was fat and ugly, including his parents and his siblings. The only person who was kind to Yuya throughout his entire life was his grandfather, who passed away and left Yuya the house. His family was so upset about his grandfather leaving him the house that they all left him and he now lives alone and works part-time jobs. The next day, as Yuya is leaving school to go work at his part-time job, he gets beat up for absolutely no reason. Yuya says, "Please stop beating me up, I have to get to my job," and for some reason, the fact that this guy is employed makes the bullies even more mad. This is the point in the story where you would expect some jock from the school to step in and help Yuya, but that does not happen. As a matter of fact, this guy's school is full of supervillains. Every single person is loving this. Because Yuya was too busy getting beat up, he wasn't able to make it to his job in time and he got fired. This results in him having a mental breakdown, punching his bathroom mirror and then punching the wall of his bathroom. But when he does so, a door opens up. The door, as you might have guessed by the title of this anime, leads Yuya to another world. Admittedly, this world is a little confusing, and this is where a lot of the problems that people have with this anime start. But to simplify the idea of this world, basically it's like a video game. You can level up certain stats. There is also skills. For example, the reading comprehension skill, the first of many that Yuya picks up, which allows him to read every language. He uses this skill to read a note that was left on the table, stating that a sage left this house to the first person who could find it, which is Yuya. It states that the ownership of this house will be automatically transferred using magic and no one is allowed to enter it except for the owner. If you haven't already figured it out, the person who previously owned this house was absolutely broken. Yuya finds this out when a level 300 enemy is unable to enter his house. Yuya, being a measly level 1, is staggered in fear, but then when he figures out that this monster is unable to enter his house, he throws Sage's weapon at it, killing it instantly because the weapons are so broken. Similar to in a video game, if you were to kill a level 300 mob as a level 1, you would level up a lot. That is exactly what happened to Yuya as he instantly becomes level 100. He doesn't think much of it though. He grabs the droplets from the mob and heads home for the day. But as he is attempting to head home, he is presented with the option to convert the droppings from the mob into yen. He accepts the offer and he ends up with 10,000 US dollars or 1.5 million yen off of 20 minutes of work. And because he became a level 100 yesterday, his body begins to change forms thanks to all his stat upgrades and he wakes up absolutely jacked. He explores the world a little more, checking out all the weird items before heading to school where no one recognizes him because not only is he jacked, but it's heavily implied throughout the series that he is a supermodel pretty much. This anime, as it is implied in the title, is about someone who is bullied relentlessly, who had absolutely nothing and was at rock bottom, changing everything overnight as they become an exceptional human with way too much athletic ability, magic, and stupid broken items. Now I want to talk about why I like this anime. So if you don't know what genre of anime this is, it's called an isekai, which means go to another world, I think. Usually in these types of anime, what happens is the main character dies at the beginning of the show, they get transported to another world, and then you see them live out their life in another world. My main problem with these types of anime is what is the point in making them go to another world if that is going to be what the anime is about? If you wanted to do some sort of anime that was going to take place in another world, just make it take place in another world. There's no reason for the main character to die, or get trapped in a video game, or end up in another world by any other means besides just being there. This anime, however, with the title that is too long for me to say it, actually has a purpose behind being an isekai. Not only does it add a lot of value to the main story as we get to see the main character participate in two worlds activities at the same time, but we also get to see a trope that I only believe has been done one time before. That trope being a situation in which the main character is way more powerful than anyone else in the world. In the anime I'm referring to in which we've seen it before is One Punch Man. Don't get me wrong, it's definitely interesting watching a weak protagonist become more powerful over time, but how many anime have done that at this point? It's almost all of them. And there's good reason for that. If your protagonist doesn't become stronger over time, you're giving the viewers less of a reason to watch. But this anime being able to take an idea that hasn't been heavily explored and make it interesting is why I enjoyed it so much. I found it to be extremely creative and a breath of fresh air. I read a bunch of reviews on this anime, and the main thing that people are upset about is the fact that the main character is an extremely shy, oblivious person. But I think what people are failing to take into consideration is that this guy's upbringing was full of misfortune and bullying. And if you went from being treated like that to being treated like an idol overnight, you wouldn't know how to respond either. And it is somewhat excessive and at times repetitive how much the main character does get glazed throughout this entire anime. But I think the message that the author was trying to send with this is that the world really isn't fair and people are treated very differently depending on their looks. Don't get me wrong, this anime is by no means going to change your life. It's not going to inspire you. As a matter of fact, it would be fair to call it demotivating, as this guy is pretty much handed everything that comes his way. However, I found the ability to cross between multiple worlds very interesting, and I found this anime pretty entertaining, and I would highly recommend that you give it a shot as well. This anime is currently toting a 6 out of 10 on my anime list, which I find way too low. So y'all give it a watch and let me know if you agree. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you're new. Let's see if we can hit 200 subscribers. I'll see y'all later.